Hello, everyone, and welcome to an episode of Haunt Behind the Scare.
Today, we take a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to run a haunted attraction inside a haunted prison.
Yes, specifically, Blood Prison Haunt. Now, we've already done the tour, if you will, and I think you will very much enjoy what there is. And of course, it's in Mansfield State Reformatory, which is notorious for being actually haunted, so it's kind of a double haunted house situation. But there is a lot to unpack, so we really hope that you enjoy this edition of Haunt
Behind
the
Scare.
So this is the first scene that you will see when you enter Blood Prison, which is this awesome house facade, which they have done some new things for this year. This thing kind of going around in this fountain in the middle. There's this awesome, gnarly, upside-down crucified guy.
Yeah, which I guess has been here for a while, and we just never noticed him.
Yeah, because as we were saying while we were doing the tour, you're getting violated so much that you don't really notice.
You don't pay attention.
Yeah, other than the flickering lights in the windows and stuff. And this is a new scene that's still under construction as well. This is completely new for this year. It's kind of like you said, it's going to be like a parlor. The fish are not going to be permanent.
But there is an air cannon.
Air cannons. Also, we were told that this is actually a real child's coffin.
Yeah.
This prop is in. And I just love how there's even an upstairs. It really I'm curious to see what this room will look like when it's fully done and with actors in it and whatnot.
I'm Victor Amasquita. I run Blood Prison Haunted House at the Ohio State Reformatory.
How did you get the role of being the manager at the haunt?
How that happened was I worked for a guy a while back, Robert Kurtzman. Long story short, we got the contract to run the haunted attraction here at the Reformatory. I did a lot of the legwork for it. So I kind of was the manager then, but it was his deal. He is a special effects movie guy, so he ended up going back with movies and the Ohio State Reformatory, because I built some good relationships here in that first year, which would have been 2016. So they said, well, listen, we'd like you to just run it. Are you up for that? And I was just like, of course. I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer. I was kind of shocked, to be honest with you, when they first asked me. I was just like, I got to talk to Bob because I work for him. You know what I mean? So it was this whole thing, but I couldn't really turn it down. So that's kind of, long story short, how I got here from the old place. So how much is new each year? So that is kind of year to year. Not this past season, we redid a real big chunk of one of the cell blocks. And actually, we added some to the other cell block as well. So that was a good chunk of new stuff, new rooms, new scenes, I guess, if you will. This year, we're not doing anything in the cell blocks. We kind of do everything here in the house and stuff in our basement. So it's really year to year. It just depends on what rooms we want to really change. So we don't go into it going, okay, we're gonna do 20% of the haunt different this year, or 10% of it. It just kind of just happens. You know what I mean? Like, we've had this room for a long time. Let's change it. So there's no real set how much we're gonna do different every year, really.
But one thing that's really awesome about the haunt is just there's detail literally everywhere you look, which is indicative of pretty much any, good haunt. But even in particular with this one, it's crazy how good this haunt looks with the lights on. A lot of the things are wrapped in plastic to kind of help protect it from dust and whatnot. Just broken pool table. There's even pool balls over there.
Oh, yeah, there are.
old-fashioned record player. And one thing that was really cool, he was telling us when he was taking us around that this gun up there, it is fake, but when they were getting their inspections, they were told, you're not allowed to use real guns, and he basically had to prove it to the guy that it wasn't a real gun, that it is a prop, that it was made to be a replica. And they say it's cool because, I mean, this is not in the main path of view. You normally would walk through here and go through this fireplace, but the fact that, you know, they go that far for details, because there's actually one thing that Kim noticed, is its little hooves, little deer hooves actually holding up the gun. And it's just little details like that that are just awesome. And like these ornate skulls and stuff like that. Just how gross everything looks, which is awesome.
I know. I love that.
I really like this like carved tusk here that he said breaks a lot. All right, now we're gonna crawl through the little fireplace here. It's funny too, because there's like the air conditioners on and they're just like, painted. And this is the dining room, correct?
Yeah.
Something Kim pointed out about this that we've never noticed when we've walked in here, because again, you're being assaulted, is all these paintings. It's like, they're just like blank faces with like holes for eyes. I think that's basically the same as the other one, but even if you look at like this woman over here, there's something super aesthetically creepy about people like very Slender Man-like that don't have like faces, and it's just like
Right?
holes for their eyes.
It's like, it just looks so like empty and just soulless.
Yeah. Oh, look, even inside like the clock, there's just like baby dolls and just stuff. Stuff. Another one of the. This reminds me of the Black Eyed Kids. That picture on the wall does.
Yeah.
Just like the creepy taxidermy. Oh, here's another one. I don't know why I find these pictures so creepy.
Yeah, tearing down the haunt. Well, setting up and tearing down. So the cell blocks and the bullpen and solitary confinement are set up tear down areas. So like for instance, the area we're in right now, we get to keep this up all year.
Right.
But we get like 3 weeks in September to set up the cell blocks, and you guys have been in there, so you know there's a lot in there. So we get 3 weeks to set that up, east and west, plus solitary, which is not a ton in solitary, but you know it's part of it.
Right.
And then after, you know, once November hits, we tear it all down. So we have semi-trailers, and they're stored off-site. So basically we unload the semi-trailers, get everything put into the areas, and then we start set dressing the cells. And that takes every bit of September to get that done. We do call in extra help. Like for instance, when we unload the trucks, we have a moving company come in and help us unload everything. And then we have actually some guys that work for another event that we do here called Incarceration. We have some of their guys come back and they help us build. So we get a handful of guys, but we only have them for like usually like a week. And then everything else is, you know, on us. And then tear down is completely on us. We have to tear everything down, load all the trucks back up, and then get them back to the trailer or the terminal where the trailers go. And it's an ordeal because we open on September 27th. So we got to have a rehearsal. We've got to get everything in place. We've got to have the lighting done for the cell blocks. And lighting a cell block is not easy. You know what I mean? It's a big, giant area. So it is a hassle. If I had my way, we would never have to do that. Because you got to set up and tear down when you tweak things and redesign. But it's rough. Let's put it that way.
Well, I'm sure. So do you guys have to like for example, the church scene that you were talking about earlier. So where do you build that stuff? Because you can't put it up until that time, but obviously you can't actually build from scratch in a couple weeks.
So in the west cell block, if you go down the west cell block and you get to the end, there's a way you can turn to the right. That takes you all the way to the west shower room. Okay, the west shower room was this giant room. So that's where we build the big stuff for the cell block areas because the ceilings are this big, if not bigger. So we build everything in there, and then we've got enough. We basically measure out the cell blocks. Okay, so we're going to take this much of the cell block, make it the church. So we go in there. We did, I think, in 2 sections. So we built this section, tore it down, built the next one, and then we set it up in the cell block. But it's built to be in the cell block.
How many actors are typically working on a given night?
Well, are you talking opening night or are you talking end of season?
Average.
On average, I'll go from last year. On average, we probably ran about 75 actors.
I mean, because it definitely felt like a lot last year.
Yeah, last year was probably our best year
Okay.
for actors. The years previous, it would be 50 to 60. I ran one year after, because you always start high and then people kind of just fizzle out and they quit.
Right.
Because it's a job, it's you're working. I ran this haunt on 40 actors one time. This whole haunt, and that was rough.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of bad reviews because, there's no actors, you know what I mean? And it's hard because people quit or people don't like other people, just normal kind of haunt drama, as they call it. But we've been really lucky these last couple years. And right now, we haven't even done our first hiring event yet, as of right now.
Jeez,
and
yeah.
we have more actors than we've ever had. So
Awesome.
the actors has been great. It's been great these last couple years.
Yeah. This part's a little bit different, he said, as well. You used to actually take a right here, where there's this picture here now, which is a drop panel. This big creepy painting. I don't know if these are where they got these from, but they're cool.
Probably like a secondhand store or something like that.
And then this, which I have a clip of it actually working, is going to be a jump scare. I'll probably insert that here. Oh. That's cool.
Wow.
Another creepy photo. The creepy doll in front of a creepy air conditioner. Yummy. This is obviously the bathroom scene. There'd usually be a shower curtain right here. Oh, God, I don't know why this just jump scared me. I don't know why. Half of a person in a bag.
Oh.
Something really freaks me out about this kind of aesthetic at haunted houses when it's just from frayed electrical wires. Even though I know it's fake, I do not want to touch them for the life of me.
Right?
It freaks me out so bad. This guy,
That guy.
he's
Yeah.
seen better days. A person in a pot. Well, something about this being wrapped in a plastic bag makes it even creepier for some reason.
Gotta keep her fresh.
Yeah, gotta keep her fresh. I love this. It's just a little hand. Kind of reminds me when you're going to Halloween Horror Nights and they cover the props up so the children don't get scared, but sometimes it slips a little.
Yeah. And it's like, oopsie.
They've got a roast in the oven. Little fridge there. And ew, there's just a bloody ear on top of whatever that concoction is. Some brains. See, and again, that's what's so cool about this, because again, no one has time to actually look at all these details when you're walking through and scare actors are getting you. So it's really cool to be able to just kind of walk through here leisurely.
Call it, yeah.
An Easter egg. And then dolls. This is the children's room. There is so many dolls in here.
Wow.
And this thing, which will come flying out at you. She's semi-on right now. Here, I keep twitching. Oh, geez. This thing's under plastic, but you can see just the jaw
Oh, wow.
just unhinged off of it. So many dolls. Oh, there's even a little light in there. It's hard to see with my light, but
Oh.
just how gross it all looks. There has to be over 100 dolls in this room.
At least.
They are just everywhere. I like the vacuum cleaner. I don't think anyone's used that in a minute. They thought about it.
Kind of vacuum up the dust.
oh, look at this, it's like Cyclops people.
Oh, that's fun.
Because most of our questions are going to be strictly haunt related, but I am curious, since Mansfield is so notoriously haunted, have you ever had any like creepy supernatural moments?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, when you spend enough time in this place, you're gonna have those unexplainable things for sure. And
Right.
yeah, I definitely have had a few things happen where I'm just like, that was weird. I mean, I've never seen an apparition or anything like that, but there's been some things that have happened where I'm just like, can't explain that one. You know, it's just the way it is. So okay, so how we train for the touch pass? Well, first year actors aren't allowed to touch. They've got to at least be around it for a while and go through that first year of not touching, because it's important to be able to scare without touching.
Right.
Because we don't want to rely on touching, because not everybody gets a touch pass. Okay, so first year actors don't get to touch. They have to watch and learn what the other actors do. Now we do a normal, or not normal, but our thing is nothing inappropriate. Okay, head, or what do they call it? The acting manager does all this stuff. I know that the old saying is head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but I think it's like shoulders, knees, and toes, or shoulders and knees, or something like that. They've got this saying that they do. I'm not sure what it is, honestly. But we have rules with touching. So, for instance, no tackling people, no picking people up, no inappropriate touching, for like, you know, nothing inappropriate. And we put ourselves in different scenarios. We bring them into the scenes and we group them up and we walk through and we put them in different scenarios and have them do the touch passes, is how we do it. You know, what to do with different guests, even if they're wearing a touch pass, if they're being very rowdy, very, belligerent, then we just don't do it.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of someone wanting to try and start problems 90% of the time. So that's another thing that we train them as, like, look, if they smell like alcohol, they're acting belligerent, then just, you know, if anything, you might just grab hands or grab arms, things of that nature. So it's kind of a process, but yeah, I mean, that's basically the training of it. Just getting them in here and showing them how and where they can touch on guests.
All right, now we're going to take a right here. Now, this is the attic scene. I love attic scenes in haunted houses. I'm not sure why. Like, that's probably my favorite scene in, like, the schoolhouse. The haunted laboratory. I love the attic scene there. I just love attics.
Yeah, you got the creaky floorboards. You got like
Yeah.
old useless junk that people just kind of throw up there. Headless mannequins,
Yeah. Ghosts.
ghosts.
And this leads us into one of our favorite rooms of the haunt, which is, we always call it the courtyard because they just refer to it as the backyard, which has this giant tree that I guess is actually made out of cement, which is wild. This thing probably weighs more than a freaking elephant. And I love to even have, like, what do you, cobblestone? I don't know. Stone. A little pathway. And it moves a little, which kind of always freaks me out.
Yeah, it's even freakier when the actors are like coming at you.
Oh, yeah.
And you're trying to like not fall because the rocks are falling out from behind you.
Right. Oh, there goes that. He's probably jump scared me about 3 times.
Yeah.
But I like how even when you look, wow, he's loud. When you look behind you, you can even see like because you just left the house is actually there. They made sure to keep that detail in of like the flickering windows and stuff, just like how the front. And then you go into the shed, and this is basically the end of this area. Now, typically you would go into the cell blocks. Obviously, the cell blocks are not open. I think this would typically go, you said, to solitary, which is closed. We might walk around and film some of the cell blocks as they are, but there's no sets built up there.
Right.
But now we are going to check out the basement, because that part is also a permanent structure. And this is typically where it's very dark in here, but what was this room?
This
Like
is
when it was a
like
prison?
the guard room.
Something like that. This is typically where you this is the last place you go before you actually enter that giant door. All right, so now me and Kim are in the basement of the haunt. Now this section is a lot more laboratory themed, experimental,
experiments, yeah.
torture-y. But yeah, they got the little people in the pods and that and whatnot in here. I don't know what's under that. I find it creepy because like you can barely see their the faces of these things, and I do believe these light up, don't they? I think they do.
I think so.
Yeah. And just like the control panels and stuff like that, how like everything is just
Sticky looking.
made. And behind here is one of those giant puppets, so it's actually interesting that this whole wall opens and you can see that. And then you go through here. If you had to choose, what's your favorite scene or part of the haunt?
Oh man, my favorite scene or part of the haunt. Well, that's hard. I guess the first thing that comes to mind is the tree, the backyard of the house upstairs. Just because we spent a lot of time on that tree, building it because it's made of concrete. It's called Decocrete, and it's all. I would say it's probably 90% hand sculpted. So like we had the artists in here like sculpting the bark. I mean, we had patterns that we could have used, but artists don't want to do that. They want to sculpt. So they were sculpting everything, and it just looks amazing. And that room itself, just the backyard and the stones that move, and you can get a jump scare out of the tree. But we got the scarecrow and the big shed with all the license plates, and we really detailed the hell out of that room. But one of my new rooms that we're debuting in the basement this year is probably a very close second.
Ooh.
It's a new room. It's a new lab. Inmate research is what we call it. So it's like, the theme of that is basically they take inmates from Blood Prison and they do experiments on them and turn them into different things. It's like a lab scene, but just like, a biology room on the inmates. So that's a very techie room. So it's like, yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited for that room.
Awesome.
So ideas for the new rooms and the new scares. That is, so what we do is when we travel. So we'll go to different parts of the country and we'll go to different haunts because really that's where you get, and movies, of course, but going to other haunted attractions and seeing what they're doing in like New Orleans, St. Louis, Philadelphia, just a few places we've been. Not to take their scenes or their ideas, but to get the inspiration on something that would work in your attraction. Of course, watching movies and then just sitting and brainstorming. I mean, we just do brainstorming sessions. We do walkthroughs. So once we do our Christmas show and we tear that down and get the haunt back to normal, we do a day where we buy lunch for everybody and then we walk through every room, every section of the haunt and just start bouncing ideas off each other. This is what I've been thinking. This is what I want to do. I saw this in a movie. Hey, we were at this haunted attraction. They did this. It would be kind of cool to do something like that here. I mean, it really just comes from being around each other and just talking,
You come this way. I'll try not to pummel Kim with the body. Now, as you're saying, this is actually where you used to exit, was this door here, and it just took you outside. But the exits are completely different now, and you actually do exit through the gift shop. As he said in the podcast interview, he what did he say? He Disneylanded it?
Yes.
Which, go watch that. That will be way out by now. By the time that you see this, is the podcast. I find it, I don't know why, so disturbing, just all of these disgusting bloody tubes hanging down.
Yeah. Tubes are gross.
Yeah, and of course they're all dirtied up, and again, a lot of the stuff's under plastic. But yeah, there's a ton of details on here. On the desk, there's a lot of like old pill bottles, just old books, like looks like newspaper clippings and whatnot, and just kind of like disturbing photos. There's even like, and again, this is stuff you would never see because you don't really have any reason to turn around, but just like this, I don't know what's going on up there. Some kind of head in a box. My head in a box. This is disgusting. Just a really bloody, what do you call these? Not a bedpan, just like, I guess, like a portable toilet.
Yeah.
Ew. Gas mask, dude. Whatever this thing is. What are you?
He looks like a bug person.
Oh yeah, he's like a
Maybe
bug man.
Spider.
Yeah,
person.
yeah, I
He's
think
kinda
he is. I think he's
furry.
like a spider furry man. And then this guy who is a little barbecued. And then we go through here. And there's this long, creepy hallway. And then, yes, there's one of the puppet things that would typically come out at you and assault you. I always feel like, I don't know why, like, long hallways intimidate me. And then usually there's, actors coming out of every orifice. I also feel like this is usually a pretty loud section, if I remember right.
I want to say there's air cannons in here that usually kind of upset us.
Yeah, specifically me. And then something about the fact that this thing has underwear on I find more gross, as if though it were nude. It's just gross. Ew. Dirty underwear. Ugh. Just, I don't know, all kinds of just gnarly props. And again, I love that, like, you can't tell a lot of times where the haunt begins and the building ends because everything blends in so well with, like, the brick of that and then, like, with the metal that they've built.
Yeah.
Which is always really cool when a haunt is able to blend the handmade stuff with the actual building that it's in. Obviously, this one has the luxury of being in an actual giant haunted prison, so it can do that. And again, we'll talk about this room in a minute. This room is always super disturbing, but there's a lot of the haunt you can't see for this, not just because we're not filming it, but because a lot of it is in the cells. We will film a little bit of the cells, but it's not here right now, so you can't see it. So you're only seeing, like, maybe, what do you think, maybe a half of the haunt?
Maybe,
at
if
most.
that. Maybe like a...
And all of it's up to this caliber of amazingness, so highly recommend that you guys check this one out. Hopefully this just gives you more reason to. Typically there are people in these cages, and if you have the touch pass, they will reach out and they will grab you and they will hold you, play with your hair. I love that there's even like the straw for
like
the
a
person in the cage to
feeding
drink.
tube. That's nice.
There's usually a pig man that's in this section, which will, come get you. He was telling us that he had the idea to electrify these. They actually played with it, but because of the water, it was like, well, that might not be the best idea. And me and Kim's stance on getting mini electrocutions in haunted houses, which is a big thumbs down. All right, we'll meander around this corner here. Where are we? Where do we go? Not that way. This way. There's just a head just like shoved in this light bulb, the fuse box. She's just
controlling
chilling,
it. Yeah.
living her best life. And I think we're going to go check out Solitary next, which is always one of the creepiest parts of the haunt. Now, there's no decorations there, but it's just so creepy. It always freaks me out.
Yeah, it's this one. We hand carved this brick. We bought the foam and we hand carved all of it. We hand carved it over there. We put in concrete, made it look all like as real as we could. It took forever. You know what I mean? And we're like, all right, so we don't do it that way. We got better ways of doing it now, but just the detail that we went into, like we bought the tube, the sono tubes and made it look like,
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff. This is an infinity mirror here, but it's like it's not on right now,
Okay,
so you
yeah.
can't really see it. We built this was built by hand. All this was built by hand.
That's crazy.
The furnace and everything, and then we
So
have
this
fog
brick,
machine.
so this is fake brick too, huh?
Yeah, this is
Wow.
all fake brick.
That's crazy how well it just blends right in.
Yeah, and then we have fog coming out, so it's like it looks like it's burning, and yeah,
Oh, sick.
the guy that painted and detailed this room is just a master at matching the paint job. So he did such a good job. And we built this grinder. We built this ourselves. Ran the foam through it. Built the the bucket of guts. I mean, this room we did a lot of stuff on our own without buying. I mean, we bought the hanging bodies and stuff like
Right.
that, but we did we made this. We bought the stuff, but then we made this it's a laundry cart, but it's full of body parts and heads and shit, and we made all that ourselves. You know what I mean? The torso. So it's like that's why I'm a little endeared to this room
To this room in particular,
we
yeah.
did.
It's a
take
lot of work.
It is, yes.
And it's crazy, too, because it seems like the more work you put into something, the more realistic it is, which makes it not look like work.
Yeah.
Like, for example, this, like most people, and even that pillar over there, like, if you wouldn't have told me we built these things, I would have thought that, like, yeah, maybe you added something, but I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Like, that you built that. So that's what's crazy. It's just like people think, oh, they didn't really do much to this because you made it look that good.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
It's kind of the goal, right?
it is, and that's.
Oh, yeah, and you made these things, too, that, like, so they
Yep,
can be moved around.
This is all. Yeah, these will all slide, so we can wing these at actors, or at guests rather, the
Yeah.
actors, and then that one slides. But yeah, this whole track we did all this. You know, construction guys came in, the build crew, and they built it, and the set guys came in and painted and set dressed everything and just knocked it out of the
One
park.
of these, which again, sometimes some of these was with the plastic on top. It's even worse, but this is disgusting. This one of these, like I've seen these before, but like the giant fat guy things. But what's really gross about this is there's all these jars with tubes coming out that are going into him. I don't 100% know what the implications are. I mean, there's ones down here too that are under the plastic. Like, ew, what is happening here? I'm assuming it's some kind of experiment, and they're just like pumping this dude with fluids. What's going on with that? That's gross.
Pretty much you got
Yeah, that okay.
Okay, so yeah, this is a new area of the haunt. Basically, we focused on beginning and end this year as far as redesigns. So we went from freezer to kind of decontamination is what we're going with. Put all this in, made it look like a big safe door type of situation.
So all of this was built as well.
Yeah, well, we have these things that we have molds of, and we
Still,
make all
that's
that.
crazy.
and,
Yeah.
Yeah, we just keep pouring them and running them, and this is actually my kid's old thing on his jungle gym that used to be like a boat steering wheel. We just molded it.
God, I love
you
that
know,
kind of stuff.
But yeah, and we made some of it movable. But
That's so cool.
yeah, made all that. So then instead of just walking through, we kind of add some turns here, so you kind of go up,
Oh yeah, there's
a drop down here.
oh, greeted by these guys.
Yeah. And then this room is like the beginning of decontamination. So you come in and, this would be like maybe a shower scene or, where you put your hazmat suits on. Because this next area is going to be, like a lab. So it's inmate research. So we bring the inmates in and we do experiments on them and try to change them into something. I kind of got the inspiration from many different things, but we did a movie called The Rage where this guy was making mutants. So that's kind of where I got the original idea, and then other movies as far as how the scene looks.
Yeah.
So again, this is all still under construction,
Oh wow.
but these lights, so these will go on. These are like constantly on, and then as you walk through, it scans you,
That's cool.
right?
So they'll be motion activated, so they'll like light up as you're walking through.
Yeah, when you're walking
That's
through,
neat.
these things kick on, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got air blast. So it's like basically what happens is it's like
My favorite.
it goes through and it says contamination detected, and it starts blowing air on you, and then as you're walking through, decontamination complete.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so this room is like the main part of the lab, and actually, if you want, I can give me 1 second. Let me go and turn the light on
Okay.
because this has an overhead light in here that will help. Right. So
Yeah.
we kind of wanted to make it an old style lab, but like, I don't know, kind of the old computer servers, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the IBM ones that were, had the reels and everything, and then do kind of also like a Frankenstein's Army type of theme, where they're like making different things out of the inmates. So this will go back in the corner here, and then these screens all have stuff on them. All the computer screens have stuff on them, and it's somewhat interactive. Like that middle screen will have this guy that comes up and it says like, breach inevitable, and there's like a computer guy, like his face comes onto the screen and says, like get out now, breach. There's a breach in one of the containment areas. So that's kind of what we're doing in here. And then that is a screen. We got a camera up here that shows what's going on over there. So like when you're walking through, it's basically supposed to be like a window that you can see through that they're watching as what's happening into the next area.
Okay.
And these things, I wish I could turn them on. I might be able to, but
Oh, they actually are going to move.
oh, dude, all this moves.
That's
all
awesome.
this lights up. Oh, they must have the breakers off.
Ah.
But anyways, you'll have to come to the haunt to see it.
Yeah.
But they all do work. All these spin. All these gauges light up. All these lights light up. And then the noise is just, it's great. It's great. It looks great. So then you come in here, and then we had Distortions make us a piece that is like a mutant inmate. We got this at Transworld this year, and they was good enough to get it to us before Ink. So that's going to be one of the mutated monsters, and then we got things that are going in these big tubes. Screens going here.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have this. So you're gonna have this up and running in a couple weeks then.
Oh yeah,
For that, yeah. Wow.
Next week.
Jeez.
Yep. So I mean, again, we're still in the painting phase and everything, and this button is actually a real button. So when you push that sets him off. And
What's he do?
he like shakes and moves, and he comes out a little bit, and then there's fog, strobe lights, and then he spits.
Okay,
he
I
spits
saw the
at
little
you.
tube, yeah.
And then, so what they do is the story or the theme, I guess, if you will, is once the mutants are made into, the inmates are made into mutants, they ship them out. They ship them out, and they're trying to unleash, a new mutant or new virus into the world.
Oh.
So this is kind of like the storage / shipping area, which used to be we would call it the butcher room back then.
Very Resident Evil-y.
Exactly. Yes.
Basically, this is the end of the new section, and realistically, the end of the haunt as well. What's really cool is, like, this used to be a very different scene, and there's actually a staircase behind this wall, but they've completely hidden it by this. And you can't see it at all until you come around. And then there you go. And then you would just kind of go through here. There's probably like a final scare in this area. And again, this is all still unfinished, but will be finished very soon. And yeah, and then up there is the door that lets you exit it. We'll bring you to the gift shop. All right, so now this is one part of the haunt that we were talking about that always freaks us out a lot. It's solitary. Now, typically, of course I have my light on because it wouldn't be interesting to look at darkness, but that's what you see when you walk through here, which is nothing besides the glow of the exit sign, and there's just usually actors inside of here. There's usually like usually like a bassy music that's playing,
Like
I think,
a
right?
droney, bass kind of music going on.
Yeah. And so it's just really eerie, and people come up and just like, if you have the touch pass, will like touch your ankles or whatever, and just kind of stalk you, and you just constantly feel like you're being watched. Maybe it's by a person, maybe it's by a spirit. It's just creepy to walk through here because like the walls are so thick, it's just like deafeningly quiet. Yeah, and then you just kind of loop around here and go down the other side. And I feel like there's usually someone on this side that like kind of bum rushes you a little bit. Doesn't that feel like that's something that happens?
Yeah.
I think so. And they also have those, they don't actually shock you, but those like little sticks that do the bzzz things. And so they'll like pop out of nowhere sometimes and have those as like a light.
Right.
But yeah, this is definitely one of the creepiest parts of the haunt, and that just shows you that it's not always about sets and props. Sometimes it's about the atmosphere. And I enjoy that they don't decorate it because they have such a creepy, oppressing thing, and they just let it be that and just let you walk through and experience that. Which I appreciate that they do a mix of both, the huge, elaborate sets and props and showing the building for what it is. All right, so I'm just going to take, it's going to be kind of hard to see because of how dark it is, but a quick shot in here. So this is the cell blocks, just to kind of give you an idea. If you haven't been here, how large this haunt is. So there's 2 of these giant cell blocks. I mean, you can kind of see. We know you can't really see, but it goes all the way down there. and then you go down the other side, and then there's another side where you go back and forth as well, and it's tons of scene. So there's a whole church, usually there's a whole crashed airplane, a whole like city with zombies in it, just absolute madness.
Clowns.
Yeah, you absolutely have to come check this place out. It's one of just the best haunts out there. Super scary. Get the touch pass. You can always take it off if it's too much for you.
Yeah.
Watch our reviews if you want to hear more details about what we think of the haunt itself. All right, welcome back to the dungeon. Hopefully you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes look at Blood Prison. We felt very privileged to be able to go there.
Yeah, definitely. The place is creepy, even without all the
Yes, absolutely.
haunt sets. So it was actually really kind of interesting how they run everything.
Yeah, and we were also part of the Blood Prison Shakedown podcast, which you can go watch. That's on, I believe that is the name of the actual YouTube channel and stuff as well. Plus, it's on
Yeah.
like all major podcasting things. I will put a link in the description of this video. But yeah, no, I thought it was really cool. And again, as we mentioned a couple times in the video, most of I wouldn't say, like, at least half of the haunt you did not get to see because it's in the cell blocks, which is only there for a brief amount of time each year, just for the haunt season. And again, the stuff you did see is completely different when the lights are actually, turned off and the haunt lighting is on. But hopefully you enjoyed being able to get to see a lot of the detail and seeing Vic talk about, kind of what makes that place tick and stuff like that. We have quite a few other episodes coming out, so make sure you are liking and subscribing so you're not missing those. And also make sure you're ringing that notification bell. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of Haunt
Behind
the
Scare.